For your leadership and for your goodness and grace toward us all. Lord, we pray that you'll be with us in this meeting. We pray that what you said and done will be pleasing to you and pleasing to the people of our great county. Ask your blessings on the commissioners as they make tough decisions. And God, to give them strength, wisdom, and guidance to do those things that would make Walton County a better place. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're going to call the meeting to order. Mac, if you give us 1 minute here, Commissioner Nipper has a presentation. Commissioner.
Will Ms. Gillis please come forward? Rachel Gillis has been with us for 40 years and she is about to retire. So from the Board of County Commissioners, we'd like to recognize her accomplishments. To begin with, she's been a social worker with the Chautauqua Healthcare Center, which is, many of you may know it as the Hope Center, or the 211 number that works with Walton and Okaloosa. The majority of what she's been doing is helping normal people that just get that need a little bit of help every once in a while, all the way to substance abuse, tobacco cessation, to even children that are born opioid addicted. So Rachel has been very instrumental in helping those people in need, and she's been doing it for 40 years, and how she keeps her chin up is just absolutely amazing, and I wanted to recognize you, and so the board would like to.
You all on this?
And there was a small situation at the center, and Rachel is going to keep 1 foot and a couple of toes in for a little while longer. So she has someone properly replace her.
Okay, I think that's all we want to take care of at this time. Mac, you got the floor.
Thanks, sir. I'll try to speak up. Good morning, Commissioners. Thanks for having us this morning. We have one legislative item this morning. Quasi-official item. We do have 3 continuances requests. Would you like to take those now?
Yes, Mac, go ahead and get them out of the way.
This would be item number 2, the Stonegate subdivision plat. The applicant's requesting to continue to July 26, 2018 at 9 a.m. in this location.
So moved. Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Y'all commissioners want to just put all 3 of them under one motion, or are they different dates?
Same date.
Same dates? Okay, withdraw your motion to, okay. Go ahead, Mac.
We also have a request to continue to July 26 at 9 a.m. in this location for item number 6, the Blue Mountain Beach Industrial Park Phase 2 replat. And we have a request to continue item number 9 on behalf of the applicant to July 26 at 9 a.m. in this location. This is the second amendment to the essentially build-out agreement for the town of Seaside Development of Regional Impact.
Okay.
Motion.
Second.
Motion.
Motion to continue.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners. This brings us to our our legislative section of the agenda. The first item on this morning's agenda is the US 331 Economic Development Quarter Plan Transmittal Public Hearing. I'm going to ask Kristen Shell to introduce this for us.
Good morning, Commissioners. We, in keeping with the requirements of our grant that we received from the Department of Economic Opportunity, we need to consider transmittal of some comprehensive plan amendments to the state for review. Those are in your packet on page 4 of this memo. They're very broad amendments, and they really just reference the plan itself. Have a very rough draft of, so it is coming along. It's looking really good, but there's a lot of things that need to be kind of worked out in the plan, and the process will go once we transmit these sort of general amendments. In the meantime, we'll be finishing up this plan and getting everything nailed down and connected together, and we'll probably go through a fairly robust public process in that interim time frame where I do workshops and we get out in the public and work, so that when it comes back to you for adoption, you'll have been through that public process and have a final plan and some amendments. And we can tweak these amendments a little bit in between this transmittal and the adoption if we desire at the end of that public process.
Okay. What's the board's wishes?
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion and a second. Any public comment? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioner. That brings us to the QJ section of our agenda.
Anyone who anticipates testifying on any of the quasi-judicial items, if you would stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you will provide to this board will be the truth? Thank you. Whenever you come forward, if you would just state your full name, spell your last name, and state that you've been sworn in. Have any of the commissioners had any ex parte communications on any of the items?
I have. Did you turn mine in?
Mine.
Yes, mine are turned in.
Okay. And so everyone who had ex parte communications has turned in proper forms with the clerk. Would any of those ex parte communications impact your decision making on any of these items?
No.
Okay. Seeing no from all of the commissioners.
Thank you, Sydney. This brings us to item number 3, the Seaside Post Office plat. This is a request to approve by final plat. It's been reviewed by Renee Bradley. They're requesting approval to replat the post office property, changing it from a right-of-way to a civic area on .21 acres with the future land use of residential preservation. The project's located at the corner of Quincy Circle and Seaside Avenue, and I'll ask Renee Bradley to further introduce this project.
Good morning.
Morning.
I think Mac pretty much announced the project. This is a single one-lot plat for the town of Seaside. This is actually a replat of Seaside 3 subdivision, which is found in Plat Book 7, page 3, right-of-way. We do have a letter of credit in hand for this project completion of the Seaside Post Office Plaza, and there's no other technical comments outstanding. Be glad to answer any questions for the board.
Any questions from the board? Seeing none. Any public comment?
May I enter staff report into the record, sir?
So moved.
Thank you.
Any public comment? Ms. Bowman?
Coy Bowman, B-O-W-M-A-N, yes, I've been sworn in. I would just like to point out that this parcel number is the road in Seaside. They have run out of land and they are starting to close off roads to build on. Also, it's incorrect. The area that they're actually building on, which they've already started building on before this has even been platted or approved, is actually part of the Quincy Circle parking lot parcel number. So there's some technical things here that are incorrect, and I just wanted to point that out, that there's nothing legal about this. Thank you.
All right. Is the applicant present?
Foley, Director of Development for Seaside Community Development Corp.
Have you been sworn?
I have not.
Will you raise your hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you'll provide to this board will be the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, you have any comments concerning this that you want the board to consider?
I do not. Mrs. Bowman's comments, they don't really seem to apply to anything we're doing there. The address is correct. It is on the corner of Seaside Avenue and Quincy Circle. And this is part of the Post Office Plaza Development Order. The condition on that was that we get it platted.
Okay.
So,
Any questions for
So
him?
the current post office is not in the road?
the post office is not in the road, no.
Okay, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
you,
Motion
Ron.
carries. Number 4.
Thank you, Commissioners. Number 4, the shops at 399, formerly known as HBC Mixed Use Development. This is a request to approve by final order. It's previously been reviewed by Tim Brown. It's a major development order application requesting approval to develop 128 apartments, 21,242 square feet of commercial space, and 5,575 square feet of office/amenity area with associated infrastructure on approximately 15 acres with a future land use of village mixed use. The project is located at the west side of North County Road 393, north of US Highway 98 West, and south of Newitt Lane, and identified by the parcel numbers in your project. The applicant is here and prepared to present their case.
Okay.
I'd like to request a staff report be entered into evidence.
So moved.
Good morning, Scott Jenkins with Jenkins Engineering out of West Sworn in. As Max said, this is a project that's been in the works for a while. This is at the corner of 393 and 98. Just for kind of situate yourself, this side is where the Sefco is being built right now, right on the corner, and this kind of surrounds that area. The overall parcel is about 15 acres, minus the Sefco site. The northern portion is where the proposed apartment buildings are located. The southern portion is where the proposed commercial uses are located. The property is village mixed use, and this does meet the requirements. The project's been through design review board already and planning commission, and has gotten unanimous approvals throughout the process. Just to give you a few other highlights. The stormwater management for the overall project is kind of a master plan system. We're doing wet detention for the project. There's 2 wet ponds here and here that are located interconnected. And we are attenuating the 100-year event for this, but it's kind of a sensitive area. Other than that, this project's pretty straightforward, I think. They actually can do a whole lot more than what's being proposed here. All the buildings in the back are actually 2 stories maximum. Buildings in the front are 1 story. It's just 2 big projects for the area. I'll be happy to answer any questions anybody may have.
Any questions from the board?
Mr. Jenkins, is there any way to mitigate how much traffic between the Sefco and people going to the apartments so that they're not getting backed up and then backing up 98? Is there anything going to be done on that? Is it
There's
393 north?
couple of things that are being done, actually. One of the requirements for this project from the DOT is to extend the northbound turn lane that goes on to 393 north. They actually have to extend that so that there's more room for stacking distance here. Also, everything here is interconnected. You can see we have an access drive that comes here and then goes through down to the south here. And all of this will be interconnected. So I think really the biggest improvement is the fact that they're extending that turn lane that goes there.
Scott, I'm looking at your picture here and the one I've got in my book. The roundabout is to the southwest of the office space up front. If I'm looking at it right, it'd be,
Here?
no, over here, down at the bottom. And if you go up and to your left, over, yeah.
North?
Yep. Is that a change?
There's actually no information there. This is just a cut sheet. This is only a part of the plan. So this just is a blow up of just that corner. So if you were to look at this, so that you can read some of the dimensions and things, that's actually just the front portion of the plan. So we can
Okay,
blow it up.
I got you.
But it's in the same location.
All right, anything else you want?
No, sir. Just be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions for Scott? Okay. Any public comment? Mr. Brook?
Bob Brook, B-R-O-O-K-E. I haven't been sworn.
Would you raise your hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you'll provide to the board will be the truth?
I do. I had a couple of questions. Number one, it says apartments, so I assume these are for rent and not condos for sale.
Yes, sir.
And what's the range of rents that you expect to charge for these units?
I really can't answer that question. The owner's here today. He may be able to, but I don't know if he's actually prepared to answer the financial questions about it. Sorry.
Thank you. I just was curious as to who's going to be able to afford to live in them. Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Ms. Bowman?
Roy Bowman, BOWMAN. There's some inaccuracies just in general on the dates and the actual, if you look at the piece of paper, like the first deed and the second deed, the dates don't match the actual pieces of paper. And the reason for that is because this land is actually part of a timber lease. It's listed in the all of these different, from the railroad to St. Joe to Hill Financial to Agri-Timber, all of these timber leases. So what they've actually purchased here is a timber lease. They don't own the land because it's in a previously binding agreement. Secondly, in 1996, the federal government came down here and asked you to separate residential and commercial spaces because of problems that were occurring between the two, obviously trucks and deliveries interrupting neighborhoods. So this term village mixed use is exactly that. That's exactly the problem. Basically, you were told not to do this, so you invented a new word for it called village mixed use, which is the exact problem that the federal government told you to eliminate. So basically, that's what I mean when I say there's no such thing as village mixed use, because the federal government told you not to do this, having shops right next to living spaces. Third, you can't treat the land this way. It's way too much stuff on one little area, especially since all the people who have homes currently around it were told that there would never be anything there and that there would just be trees. And that is because this land has to always and forever be trees. Always means at all times. So you've got this rule about there has to be at least like 15 or a dozen oak trees per acre or half acre. I'm not exactly sure. But that doesn't mean little baby ones. That means big adult ones. Because we need the root system to hold up the land. So when you make parking lots and big buildings like this, basically it's just going to sink the land and destroy it. So anyways, this isn't going to happen. A, because they don't really own the land, and B, because it's the wrong way to treat the land. Thank you.
Anyone else? Scott, you got any rebuttal?
No, sir, not necessarily.
Okay, what's the board's wishes?
Motion to approve.
Got a motion and a second. I assume your motion would also include what the conditions are?
Absolutely.
All right. All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners. That brings us to item number 5. This is the Commerce Park PUD site plan amendment. It's a request to approve by final order. It has been reviewed by Bob Baranti. It's a major development application submitted by Emerald Coast Associates on behalf of Cary Properties requesting approval of 102,545 square feet of commercial space, 43 condominiums, all on 14.44 acres plus or minus, with the future land use of village mixed use. Project's located on the north side of US 98 West, east of County Road 393, and west of Veterans Road, and it's identified by the parcel numbers in your packet. Bob has reviewed this, and I'd like him to briefly introduce it.
I have been sworn. Good morning, Mr. Chair. This is amendment from the already approved plat that our PUD that is reducing the size of the apartments, and it's dramatically reducing what was already approved. The apartments will be for rent. They are, the business there is currently being changed and configured to the commercial and into the residential. If you have any questions, I'll gladly answer them for you. And you do have one letter of objection.
Okay.
Bob, one question. Did the, just get down to it. In Chapter 5, are parking spots require 1.5 parking spots for a one-bedroom? And this one is 1 parking spot for 1 bedroom. Is that a carryover from what we allowed from the PUD from the past?
Yes, ma'am, I believe that is the case. They also have some additional parking, but
They do, I'm just wondering if it was a carryover from...
Nothing's changed except the reducing the amount of the rental residential.
Okay, any other questions? Bob, you want this report accepted?
Yes, sir, I was just going to ask.
So moved. All right, anything else? Okay,
No,
Bob.
I'm looking, it does meet the land development code and the comprehensive plan.
Correct. It was already approved as a PUD, and then they are just reducing what was approved.
Okay. Does the applicant wish to speak? Hang on. Any public comment? Ms. Bowman.
Coy Bowman, BOWMAM. I just want to say I'm against it because for all of the exact same reasons. Y'all build too much, and it's going to create a disaster with traffic and congestion. So I'm against it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, all in favor? Oh, I thought we already had that. I think so.
I don't think so.
Huh?
No, we haven't.
We have not. I'll entertain a motion. Motion to...
Second.
Good motion and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 7.
Thank you, Commissioners. This brings us to number 7, the Blue Mountain Beach Industrial Park Phase 3 replat. It's a request to approve by final plat. It's been reviewed by Bob Baranti. It's a plat application submitted by Dewberry on behalf of WRMG Inc., requesting approval to replat Phase 3, adding units A1 and A2, requesting 2 building pads for commercial buildings totaling 11,100 square feet on approximately 0.59 acres with the future land use of light industrial. Project's located approximately 1,800 feet north of US Highway 98 on the west side of Old Blue Mountain Road and identified by the parcel numbers in your package. Bob has reviewed this, and I'll ask him to briefly introduce it also.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to enter this into record.
So moved.
This plat has been reviewed. All comments have been addressed. The only outstanding fee is the plat recording fee of $30. All other fees were paid at the initial time of the platting. If you have any questions, I'll gladly answer, and the applicant's agent is here if you'd like him to answer any comments.
Any questions from Bob from the board? All right, seeing none, does the applicant wish to make any comments? Guess not. No, sir? Okay. Any public comments? Ms. Bowman.
I'm sorry, I haven't been able to pull this one up yet, but I'm sure there's something wrong with it. Coy Bowman, B-O-W-M-A-N. 25-2S-23-201-00-D-0000. Oh, there's no sales information available for this parcel. That's interesting. It's worth $207,000 and there's no sales information on it. That sounds kind of fishy to me. Thanks.
All right, anyone else? It's board's wishes.
Motion to approve. Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. 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 Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners. This brings us to item number 8, the Point Washington Preserve. This is a request to approve by final order. It's been reviewed by Bob Baranti. It's a major development order application submitted by Nautilus Civil Engineers on behalf of Southern Hybrid Homes, LLC, requesting technical approval of Phase 1 to operate a 693 square foot multipurpose building as well as a 5,247 square foot civic pavilion, and conceptually approve Phase 2, 3, 3A through C on 9.76 plus or minus acres with the future land use of Town Center 1. The project located at 725 J.D. Miller Road is identified by the parcel number in your package. We'd like to request that the staff report be entered into evidence. The applicant is here to present their case.
All right, so moved. Okay, the applicant.
Good morning, Commissioners. Curtis Smith with Nautilus Civil Engineers. I've been sworn in. We're bringing before you today the Point Washington Preserve. You guys may remember this one from February. During that time, we had a split vote 2-2 with Commissioner Nipper not present during that time. Since then, we have modified the phasing just for clarification as well as the schedule to update the schedule to the current time frame. So this project, just because Commissioner Nipper wasn't here before, I'll explain exactly what we have here. This project is a Town Center 1 development, which requires a mixture of uses. We have proposed the first light commercial use on this one, which most of these Town Center 1s on J.D. Miller have not done so just yet. So we have a small coffee shop. We also have the Civic Space Pavilion, which is part of the Phase 1 development that has been constructed presently that we're looking to clear up the outstanding code case on. The other part of his office, which will mainly be the management office for the apartments. So Town Center 1 it allows for a base density of 4 units per acre plus bonuses based on several different factors. We've taken the bonus for mixed use commercial, so we're allowable up to 7 units per acre. We're proposing currently 6.15, so we're well underneath that. The Civic Space multi-purpose building that's in the back, that will house some public and private events. The pavilion also holds a solar array on top, which is its primary use to generate solar power for the event space and the multi-purpose building. We're currently asking for technical approval of Phase 1, which is the back pavilion and the multi-purpose building only, and conceptual approval of Phases 2 through 4. And I've got Adam Shanks here with a presentation if you guys would so wish to see. We've got some pictures and things of the pavilion and the event space if you wish to see that.
You don't want to see them?
I'd like to see them.
Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Adam Shanks, S-H-A-N-K-S. You prefer the printed out version to see the pictures, or put it up here?
Just put them up here if you can get it. That way everybody else out there can see them too.
Okay, we can go on to the first slide there. Point Washington Preserve has many benefits to the community, provides numerous educational opportunities for kindergarten through 12th graders, as well as regional colleges and universities. It creates a home base for science, engineering, and technology collaborations. It aligns with numerous objectives of the Walton County Comprehensive Plan. What the community is mostly excited about, it instantly broadens the scope of events that can take place in here, in this county. It enhances the cultural experience in Walton County. It avoids conflict with the noise ordinance and diverts event traffic away from 30A, and receives the unanimous support of the Planning Commission and the community. As evidenced by, I have several community reviews and things like that you guys can look through.
Most of those, I believe, were sent to us by email. I've got several letters of support for this.
Okay, I think this is different. These are online reviews and things like that.
Would you like to introduce that as an exhibit?
Please.
Okay, so we'll,
What do you want to do?
applicants exhibit 1.
Applicants exhibit 1.
I can go to the next, okay, we'll get the next slide. Through our partnership with Good Samaritan Institute, we're doing several great things for the community. The mission of Good Samaritan Institute is to advance science through education. The Santa Rosa project, that's been a focal point of the Good Samaritan Institute for over a decade now. We bring in scientists and engineers from around the world to work on local problems here. Point Washington Preserve provides a home base and a place to do that with residences on site so these scientists can stay and work on problems in the county. The Green Project is a project where we're developing a training program for green energy jobs and for solar installation and things like that. That's very difficult to come by. That's something that we're doing through the nonprofit and wish to do at Point Washington Preserve. We're speaking to the area elementary schools about doing several things there, which I'll get into, and we've developed an internship program with the region, with Florida State. We've already done one with Northwest Florida. Next slide, please. At school, kindergarten through 12th grade, we can do field trips, field days, outdoor learning events. There's plenty of space to do a community garden that the kids can work on, and they can also learn about green energy there. Next slide, please. Our internship programs that we have ready to go at Florida State, Panama City, are with the engineering department, working with the Santa Rosa project and the Green Project. The hospitality school, there's a new hospitality school at Florida State, and we're going to be working several of our events with them, training these students, and through the business administration degree with all of the Lyles companies. Next slide, please. It aligns with the Walton County Comprehensive Plan, and the TC1 Master Plan encourages green building sustainability, including solar orientation. The Town Center General Guidelines incentivize green building solutions which exceed the standards of the County Building Code. Architecture guidelines encourage the use of green building technologies. The Economic Development Plan strengthens opportunities in tourism, arts, and technology, and also supports job creation projects to improve workforce skills. And the Recreation Plan partners with private entities to meet recreational demand and deficiencies. All of these things are supported and can happen at Point Washington Preserve. Also in the TC1 Master Plan, different civic uses that happen at PWP is our meeting hall, higher education, cultural societies, recreational activities, and performance art. Potential events that can take place at Point Washington Preserve: educational seminars, training workshops, corporate gatherings, group meetings, church picnics, art showcases, farmers markets, special events, weddings, concerts, and festivals. Because it's larger than most sites, because of the land that's around it, it does not interfere with the noise ordinance, so we can have greater events without interfering with the public, as any events do on 30A or anywhere else in the county.
What about parking? Is it, there's more than enough parking in that?
There's ample parking. There's, yes, ma'am. As the next pictures will show, you can go to the next slide, please. There's an overview of it to see. You can see that there's plenty of land, and that's just a portion of it that's developed. That's an example of the indoor, example of an event that was prior to code enforcement, obviously. There's the noise ordinance, which states that you know, as long as it's not plainly audible from an occupied residence, then it's legal. So there's no occupied residence anywhere near us. So no matter what we do there, it's not going to interfere with anyone. Let's see. And it has unanimous community support, as you can see by that. It was approved by a technical review and planning commission. It has 0 negative feedback at multiple public hearings. It has unsolicited interest and support from local media, overwhelming support on multiple social media outlets and online message boards, Google reviews, direct emails, voicemails, and people stop by in person just to give us support. We want to be a part of this. We want this to happen. Do you all have any questions?
Any other questions?
I just have a comment that the research part is really, I want to commend y'all for that. And it goes right along with some of our tryout projects, so that we're trying to get research projects in, higher paying jobs in, and you know, join with the colleges to, you know, to strengthen our relationships with them. So I want to commend you for that.
Well, thank you.
Anyone else? All right, thank you. Any public comment? Mr. Fletcher. Mr. Fletcher, were you sworn in?
No, I was not.
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you provide to this board will be the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Fletcher, Fletcher. Just have a quick question, Mr. Chairman. When you're asked to approve a multi-purpose building, are those uses specified and defined, or is it wide open?
Mac?
Yes, sir, they've been clearly defined in the development order.
Thank you. All right, anyone else? Ms. Bowman.
Coy Bowman, B-O-W-M-A-N. Okay, first, this is also a timber lease. If you own a piece of property that goes back to plat book to page 4, the Santa Rosa Plantation, what you have purchased is a timber lease. Okay, so now the reason that these guys want to make this a public space is because this is legally part of the forest, which belongs to the people. Secondly, it says they comply with the noise ordinance because you think the noise ordinance is only about bothering people. It's not. It's also about bothering the wildlife. We have a tremendous amount of wildlife and birds here that need silence, and they live in that forest. So just because there's not a human being to pick up a phone, that doesn't mean they're not disturbing the peace, because the animals have rights too. Third, I would like to point out that this was previously owned by Ski Properties, which created Slalom Way, where they took all the land away and made a place for people to ski, water ski behind their houses. So I am suspect that they aren't planning to do that in 10 or 20 years from now, because somebody has taken a four-wheeler and driven around this property in the kind of like shape of a future skiing area. Anyways, and finally, I was looking at this piece of land on the satellite, and if you zoom into the very back of it, there appears to be a sludge dump, which I highly suspect is Pot 3 from when Pot 3 failed back in the end of 16. I don't know if it was November, December, but that's what all those dump trucks were about in my neighborhood, was that you were making an emergency dump of the Pot 3 that failed, and they dumped it in the back of this property. If you zoom in, you can see it. And you could try to say that it's not that, but if it's not, then why do all the tracks go into the forest? Because they sort of pushed it back into the forest, because of course the EPA says you can't bury human waste in the forest unless there's an emergency. So what you did was you created the emergency by allowing the pot to fail. And it's all dumped in the back of this property, which is how I know that you were planning on letting the pot fail, because this driveway was put in before the pot failed. So the road and the county all knew that this was going to happen, and this is just a way to cover it up by putting something there that, you know, you can plant some grass on that poop and maybe nobody will notice it. So anyways, there's a whole lot wrong with this, and it's legally belongs to me, so no, they can't do anything with it. And when he says that there's no objection to this, I've been objecting to this since the very beginning, so he's a liar. Thank you.
Okay. All right, anyone else? Seeing none, applicant got any rebuttal?
No, sir.
All right, what's the board's wishes?
Motion to approve.
I will second the motion, but, because I think it's a wonderful project. My only concern is, before, I think most of you on the board, except for Larry, we've had to deal with approving conceptual plans that later changed. I have a little apprehension about approving a conceptual plan, but that's my only.
Well, I
will
have the same concern too on the conceptual one. If we're just looking at phase one as a approval, I'm okay with that, but I don't like the conceptual stuff, because 10 years from now it may change and all that. I do fully understand it'll have to go through TRC and the Planning Commission and subsequently before the board. But I don't know that I've ever, since I've been here, approved a conceptual plan.
We did before anybody on this board, and I think we've lived to regret it.
Okay, I can change my motion to approving phase one.
I
Okay.
will second that motion.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you.
Could we,
See, I think number 10 is the next one up.
Yes, sir. This is the Grace Point Phase 2 plat. Request to approve a final plat. It's been reviewed by Renee Bradley. It's been submitted by Interlight Engineering on behalf of JS Partners Grace, requesting approval to plat 7 single-family lots within the Grace Point Phase 2 on approximately 1.6 acres with the future land use of traditional neighborhood development. This project's located at the end of Grace Point Road and identified by the parcel number in your package, and is a component of the Prominence Development of Regional Impact. I'll ask Renee to briefly further introduce it.
Thank you. The only outstanding things that we were pending was recreational fees, in which they've been paid. We have a receipt in our packet for that. Also, 911 addressing's been paid. Also have a letter of credit that's been accepted by the development order inspector. So we have no other outstanding technical comments on this plat. I'd also like to enter the staff report into the record.
So moved.
And I'm glad to answer any questions for the board.
Any questions from the board?
Renee, I know the report was talking about 43 lots into 42 single-family lots. Is that also, then it talks about 8 lots going down to 7. Is that?
Yes, ma'am. We have reduced the Grace Point development order by 1, in which we've done an amendment to that effect. So that's why you actually have 3 development orders in this packet. The original, there was an amendment to that one, then we did an additional amendment to reduce it by that 1 lot. So it's now 42 lots total in Grace Point.
All right, and this one is
7 lots.
Right. Is there any major infrastructure or public works projects down near this area? Because this is going to be south of 30A.
No, ma'am. Where this is located at the end, it's almost, it's closer to the beach. It's on the southern end of 30A. So, any project would be up around 30A. This is all private development within Prominence.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you, Renee. Applicant wish to speak?
Good morning, Commission. I'm David Smith with Inline Engineering. I'm representing JS Partners Grace, and I would be more than happy to answer any questions that you all may have. Yes, ma'am.
have you been sworn?
I have not been sworn. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any chance that we are going to have issues regarding, and I apologize for not knowing my coastal dune lakes, every single one specifically, with an outfall, it being so close to Camp Creek Lake?
There's no issue, ma'am. And this has already been developed, as Ms. Bradley presented.
We're looking at the tail end.
Yes, ma'am. And that actually has already been developed as well. We're actually modifying the infrastructure in this area. So all the stormwater system has been constructed, and we're making minor modifications to reduce from 8 lots in this area to 7.
And what size homes? I think they'll be less than 50 feet, but what size homes are you anticipating?
I'm not exactly sure yet on the building design, but you're exactly right. It will adhere to the Walton County Code, less than 50 feet and less than 4 stories.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any public comment? Ms. Bowman.
Roy Bowman, B-O-W-M-A-N. So when you look at this image, what you see is a huge area that's cleared out, and the parcel that they're requesting to develop is just one of them. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1/6 of the space that's already cleared out. So they're not just planning on putting 7 homes on this street. They're planning on putting 37. And I'm still really confused about how it is that they can clear all this and put in a road before it's even platted. Across 30A has been overbuilt. There's no trees left on that land, so adding more homes on the south side is going to create problems of traffic, the land washing away by the time you put in all the pipes that are necessary to run those homes. And then there's another huge swath where the property appraiser has already gone in and platted out a bunch of homes in the trees. Like this whole area around Deer Lake was developed illegally. It should never have come that close to these lakes. So anyways, once again, I'm against this because it's way overbuilt already, and there really can't be anything else built that won't threaten what is already built. Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Seeing none. Applicant got any rebuttal? All right. What's the board's wishes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, Mac, you got anything else?
Thank you, Commissioners. We do have a small section on the regular agenda. I think 3 items at the end of the regular agenda.
Okay. We're going to take about a 10 or 12 minute break, try to get back in here by 10, and we'll stand in recess till then.